What's really interesting though is that they had this theory that the third eye releases these DMT substance when you go into sleep and also near-death experiences. So when you dream in your dream state, your pineal gland, the third eye, releases the DMT so you can start seeing visions. I was like in a daze. It's because I was still in my thoughts. And I remember just standing there. And my dad looked at me and he said it in Khmer though. He said, "Aon, hanyat aye," which means, "Son, are you okay?" I actually never talked about this. I talked about this once, but I foresee 9/11 that morning when the plane crashes into. Testing mic check. I talk to dead people and I still have time to slay. Dead or alive, I keep it cute. And you're listening to the Peter Beth Podcast. Welcome back to the Peter Beth Podcast, episode 2. I know it's only been like, a week, and I'm just starting out. But I have said that it really doesn't matter who it reached. I thought about like, okay, maybe I should just do bi-weekly or maybe once a month because I haven't reached the viewers yet. But at this point, I don't care. Last week, I had so much fun and I couldn't wait. So here I am. So we're going to get in some really cool topics today. I hope you guys all had a wonderful week. This weekend, it is July 4th weekend. So also be safe this weekend if you go out. I know the world right now is kind of crazy. I don't want to think too much about the world, but also as someone who is so empathic and I can even pick as a psychic medium, I do pick up like mass world like energies and what's going to happen. It doesn't really happen that often. Well, there have been a few like moments with the world where I had predicted certain things. I actually never talked about this. I talked about this once, but I foresee 9/11 that morning when the plane crashes into the World Trade Center building in New York City. And I don't know why I don't really talk about this. I know why. I don't know why I'm saying that. The reason why I don't want to open up to the world that I had predicted this was just because I didn't want people to look at me as if I'm crazy, which I am already like weird in a way. But I don't know what it was. I think it's also there is this emotional part of me where I don't want to open up that to people that I have seen this. I've only said this to my close friends, but not public like this. You know, if you guys had followed me on social media, where on my Instagram and TikTok, I talk a lot about everything. But this is one of them where I'm actually sharing this out to the public right now. So this is how it happened. During that time, I was awakened by a dream, a horrible dream. It was like a nightmare. And I was trapped in fire. And I was hearing explosion going off. It wasn't so much explosion, but I was hearing like rumbling and explosive sounds and people were screaming. And I was trapped in this fire. And that's all I remember seeing. And I was getting hot and I was really sweaty. And then the one thing that woke me up was a scream of a woman. It was really loud. It was almost like as if someone really physically screamed in my ear. So I woke up and it was like around 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning. So then I got up in the morning. I saw my dad in the living room just, drinking his coffee. So I was still kind of like discombobulated. Like my mind was like all over the place. I keep questioning myself what the dream meant. And I remember I kept playing that dream over and over in my head and the scream that was in my ear. I was in the living room. So as I was like looking for my clothes and putting my backpack and things together, I was like in a daze. It's because I was still in my thoughts. And I remember just standing there. And my dad looked at me and he said it in Khmer though. He said, "Aon, hanyat aye," which means, "Son, are you okay?" And then I snapped out of it. I looked at him. I was like, yeah, I'm good, Dad. Now looking back, I wonder if my dad knew I saw something because um my parents have known that I was psychically gifted, but they kept that away from me up until I turned 33. Crazy, right? 33, 32, somewhere around there. We'll get into more of that later in another episode. That story is pretty cool, how everything just kind of opened up and how I was seeing ghosts and come out and things like that, walking through our homes and stuff. But anyway, looking back though, I wonder if my dad sensed that I was picking up something because I remember his face was just also kind of in shock. Like, dude, you good? That was his face. So then I told my dad, yeah, I'm actually okay. Well, it also took me by surprise because Khmer folks, we don't really talk like that among each other. You know, it's a Khmer thing. One thing about my family, especially my parents, we're also emotionally expressive to each other, but there are certain things where we don't really check up on each other like that. But that one instant, I was like, "Whoa, Dad!" Like I was like, "Oh, I'm good, Dad." And then he dropped me off at school, and then that's when everything happened. I don't remember the time. You know what? Let me check on the time that happened during the 9/11 tragic. What time did the airplane hit the World Trade Center on 9/11? Because I want to see if it correlates with the time that I woke up. I remember it was like 6:30 in the morning. The World Trade Center hit at 8:46 a.m. I just got goosebumps. Shit. The first crashed into the North Tower was at 8:46 a.m. And then the other one was at 9. So I was already in school by then. And when I got to school, that's when the whole entire class and teachers, everyone went silent. And we went home early that day. I remember going into class and my best friend Bo was also shocked and she was like, "Yo, dude, can you believe this is happening?" And she was in my social study class, my history class. Is that what we called it back then? I don't remember. Then I like looked at her. I told her, I was like, "Dude, I saw this in my dream." And I remember she looked at me, she goes, "You did?" Well, a lot of my best friends and close friends and family, they knew I was special. I didn't. I just thought that I was just weird. I was just kind of like sensitive to this, but I didn't think that I can, oh, like I'm psychic. I can predict things. It wasn't like that. It was just I was always that kid that just say these weird things and my friends would always be like, "Dude, that's fucking weird." I'm like, "Yeah." It was never amount to anything of that matter up until now. A lot of the things that happen here in my hometown, I had predicted too, like the highways and the buildings. There's this really big, there's this new court building that erected like a couple years ago, back during the lockdown. Um, in that area, when I was a kid, every time when my dad drove past by that area, that whole area, I used to live around. I used to live around that building too. 119 Appleton Mills. I used to live with my sister there. It's a beautiful loft there. And that big building that I erected, where is the new court now, the big court system there in Lowell, Massachusetts, back in the 90s, it was an abandoned street. So there was actually a lot of like drug dealings and hookers. You wouldn't want to be there in the middle of the night. That whole area, even the daytime, it was really bad. I remember during the 90s. But in that area, there was a lot of like overgrown grass and bushes. And there's this one building that's abandoned there, this little small building. And I think it used to be a post office. And it had this like logo of like telescope and the sun. It was a graffiti drawing. It was really nice. I always admired that little abandoned post office. When I was a kid, every time I stared at that little small building, I always imagined this tall, big gray building being built over those overgrown grass. And every time my dad drove past by that area, I always stopped to like look at that place. And guess what? It's now a courthouse. Is that what you want to call it? It's like huge. So I had predict a lot of things within the world that changes. I know I predicted a certain things. I wrote it in my I have a psychic book, the spiritual book that I do, where I keep all like my notes and my drawings and my messages and the symbolic meanings and things like that, just so I can like reflect back and look back into them. I'm gonna keep that book till the day that I die, in hopes that someday it'll turn into like a public book that everyone can read through it. Also, getting into all of this, when I came out of the psychic closet, I didn't understand what was happening. So I did a lot of like Google search, YouTube search. And the one thing that I dived into deep about was the third eye. And everyone knows about the third eye chakra. I hear about it, but I never really tapped into it, never really looked into it. I was one person that never really cared for psychic readings. I know that they exist. I never discredit them or anything like that. So when I see like a psychic parlor, I'm always like, well, okay. I've always thought about, oh, okay, it'd be really nice to get a reading from a psychic. But I was never one to be gun ho about it. Like, I need to get this done, because I'm going through some shit. For the most part, that was never my thing. And yet, yeah, look at now. Here I am. I'm psychic medium. And this is what prompted me to like dive deeper about the third eye, because a lot of my psychic visions come from the third eye. In a more scientific term, it's called the pineal gland. The pineal gland lies within your brain, and it sits between your forehead. It sits in between your eyebrows. So every time I meditate, immediately I've always feel like pressure points. So that just means that my third eye is open and ready. And I'm going to explain a little bit about the third eye. So the pineal gland here, the way it works is that when you sleep, it releases melatonin. The pineal gland is what controls your sleeping patterns. Not control, but it's a system that helps you to wake up and go to sleep. And when you sleep, it releases melatonin. And when you go into sleep, your third eye widens, it opens. And also there is this theory that the pineal gland has a substance, the psychedelic substance, DMT, I think that's what's called. And what's also interesting is that our ancient ancestors have known this for ages, way before Christianity. The pineal gland was already acknowledged. If you look at the dollar bill, the pyramids, guess what they have imprinted? I wish I have a dollar bill on me right now because she is broke. There is the image of an eye in the pyramids. So what's crazy is that a lot of the Egyptians believe in the third eye. So the third eye chakra belongs in the 7 vortex of the body. We have 7 vortex or 7 chakra. We actually have more than that. But the main ones is the root chakra, which lies in your feet, the sacral chakra, which lies within your private areas for pleasures and all of that. And then you have the solar plex, which lies within security, like money and confidence and all of that. It's in your stomach area. And then you have your heart chakra, and then the throat chakra, and then you have third eye, and then crown chakra. And one of my strongest vortex is always the third eye. There has been many times where I try to sit there and meditate on focusing on a certain area. I realized that throughout my life, no matter where I want to focus on, I have to use my spiritual guidance first. I have to tap into my spiritual self, and that's where the third eye I'm able to foresee things, because the third eye opens that up, and then I can connect with my third eye into my solar plex or my sacral or my root within other areas. Some psychics have told me that they have to focus on other things first before they open their third eye. Now, my third eye doesn't always stay open. I know that some people say that, like, once you open it, you can't close it. That's not true. You're just being a little extra. You're being a little extra bitch. What's really interesting though is that they had this theory that the third eye releases these DMT substance when you go into sleep, and also near-death experiences. So when you dream, in your dream state, your pineal gland, the third eye, releases that DMT so you can start seeing visions. I am clairvoyant. which means I'm able to see things. And my other strong sense is my sound. So go figure that I see things more visually. Every time when people want to explain something about me, about a certain project or the list of something, you have to write it down for me because I'm able to see it. Because what happens is that when I look at it, I'm able to register it and I plant these things that's in my head, like, okay, I need to get this done and yada yada yada, which is pretty cool. I know that it sounds weird to say it that way, but I see things visually. I work better when I see it in front of my eyes. What's also crazy about this, how they said that when you die, the DMT is fully released, so your conscious mind just go, like your soul, and that's when you transition into when you transition to the afterlife, that's when you're able to see everything and anything, which is fucking dope. I hope that by saying this, I don't want y'all to die yet, just so you can experience this. Wait your turn, the time will come. But I think I find it fascinating in that world. And when you open your third eye, you got to be ready for a life-changing experience. It's not just experience, it's a lifetime experience. You're able to see the unseen. You can predict the future. You're able to utilize to benefit your life. You're able to see people for who they truly are, their true colors. You're able to use your third eye to make decisions in life. If you should go forward with a certain job or hang out with people, if this is the right choice to make, you're able to use that. And then you're going to see like visions. You're able to have lucid dreams when your third eye is open. You're able to connect with the divine. You're getting even deeper into your spiritual self. I've always had people that they've always told me that I want to open up my third eye, but I don't know how to. Sometimes when people tell me that, I'm always questioning what's the purpose of you opening up your third eye? I want everyone to open up their third eye, but for the right reason. All of you that's watching or listening to this, use your third eye to benefit your life purpose and for the kindness of your heart to teach the world and to serve the world, because that's what we're here for. We're not here for ourselves. We're here to serve others, whether you like it or not. That's just how it is. I always ask, if I truly cannot see that people are not prepared to open up the third eye, but I want people to open up the third eye, and you'll get there. That's just like going into my readings. When people come to me like, oh, I want to get a reading done, but I don't know when is the right time. I don't tell you when the right time to come get a reading from me. You'll know when the right time is for you. I don't make these decisions for you. You make it yourself. And that connects with the third eye. You'll see everything from a deeper lens. The exterior of things in life won't make sense to you anymore. It doesn't matter anymore. What matters most is your self-awareness. It's powerful. You're going to see synchronicity. You're going to connect more with nature, with animals. And what's amazing about the third eye too, once you open up your third eye, your frequency becomes higher. You going to reach your higher self. You're going to experience that. Imagine like opening up your third eye. You're meeting this high evolved being that looks like you, that's just more aware of everything. Just materialistic things that don't matter anymore. And let's just say if you're at lower frequency, also with a third eye, some people had talked to me like, do you think that people can use third eye for voodoo and black magic and stuff? But yes, people can do that. But that comes with darker things and evil things, that just there are consequences to these things. Black magic deals with the third eyes. The third eye is not always like light and love, but those are your decision making. That's where you need to be, where you need to understand how to take the path of the light. But what's amazing, if you follow the path of the light, the third eye is so powerful for you. And this goes back to why a lot of these, I'm pretty sure you hear about these things too, where the government don't want you to know about the third eye. Yeah, I can see that. It's because we become more, not radical, but we become so aware that we will go against the government. Like, we know that this is not right. What goes into our food, why do we need to Even when it comes to like bills and money and things like that for the government, we know it's bullshit. That's what the third eye do to you. The government don't want you to live like that. And I think it's great that people are actually getting into more self-awareness with the third eye, with the pineal gland, and they're able to outsource things without having to deal with the government. People are living off grid. People feel more connected to the world, to Mother Nature, by living off grid and just not having to be tied down to the government. Fucking crazy. This also leads to like the topic of aliens and how that's all connected. Like, it's crazy. Aliens are a highly evolved being, and they also have this theory where aliens utilize their third eye at 100% to time travel, to astral project, to predict and foresee things. These things we can do for ourselves too, but not to the extent of what aliens are doing right now. But if you could only imagine that, if we were to use our pineal gland to really live in it 100% right now, we would be so advanced. But also, we'd be fucked up, because our frequency, I feel like, enable for the mass to become highly evolved, for us to become highly evolved like that, is to have the energy collectively be at a higher frequency. Right now, we're fucked up. We're all over the place, okay? Yeah, I think it's wild. And just today, I was focusing on my third eye during my meditation. And to open up your third eye too, yeah, going back to the meditation. And to open up your third eye, it's all about meditating, being grounded. You know that some people also have a problem with getting into meditation. You can't always snap into meditation. You also got to reflect what's happening within you right now. There are things that you need to let go of, things that you need to be, things that are needing to be dealt with before you get into meditation. You also have to be grounded before you get into a deep meditation to also foresee things in that matter. So check in within yourself too. Do some breath work. Set aside for a little bit before you come inside to like do some meditation. You don't just always snap into meditation like that. And meditation doesn't always have, you don't always have to like sit on your ass for like 45 minutes or an hour. It'd be great if you can do that. I tried doing that during my stages when I like open up to the divine and surrendering myself, of doing this work, the light work of connecting people with their loved ones. You had no idea. Like, it was fucking crazy. It was wild. I can sit there for an hour, and an hour would go by, and sometimes I'm like, wait, I thought I was sitting here for like 15 minutes. That shit like boggles my mind, that meditation is crazy. And there are times where I'm just sitting like straight up in the middle of the room. When I was in Boston, I was meditating in the living room when my roommate was away for work, because I didn't want him to like walk in and see me fucking crazy sitting up straight like that for an hour. I can't do that anymore. Now I can just sit there for 15 minutes. I can do a meditation for 15 minutes, and it feels like 5 hours just passed by, and it boosts my energy up. Like sometimes I don't even need coffee, but I like coffee. I can't get rid of coffee. So just meditating like that will wake me the fuck up. Like after 15 minutes. That goes to like why I napped. Why I take a lot of naps within the day. I always do like 15 to 20 minute naps. The most that I can do sometime, if I'm really tired, I need 30 minutes. I can't do anything longer than that, or else it's gonna fuck me up throughout the day. But 15-minute naps is also powerful to me. I know that if you really want to get connected with your third eye and opening your third eye and things like that, go look up on YouTube. I'm not here to fucking teach you. I know that people had also reached out if I will ever have classes on meditation and things like that. Maybe in the future. Right now, I feel like I'm still learning and growing, as a psychic medium and things like that. I'm not no guru. So I want to let you know that. Go on YouTube, type in how to meditate, open up your third eye. There's great videos and tutorials how to sit in meditation and opening up your 7 chakras. Okay, well, I just want to say thank you for listening. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, whatever platform that you're watching or listening from this on this right now. And if you do have a Patreon account or anything like that, go follow me there. If you support my work, please, I would appreciate it if you can, boost my content in Patreon. It would mean the world to me. Other than that, have a blessed week. Until then, I might do a third episode next week. The fuck. I really enjoy this. Oh, anyway, bye guys.